Meghan Markle hits back with a legal blitz as the custody battle hits a fresh stage. London, February 11th, 2026. In a shocking twist this morning, the Duchess officially petitioned to review the interim parenting contract, inked only hours prior, unleashing what court watchers describe as the fiercest post-breakup legal assault the Crown has encountered from the inside. The paperwork sent to the California Superior Court landed under 24 hours after the Duke and Duchess inked a stopgap pact negotiated via the Windsor, California Custodial Safeguard Regulations. That contract, meant to build a peaceful baseline during the rising conflict, listed 3 main stipulations: 2 monitored visits monthly for both parents, a ban on taking Archie and Lilibet out of the state or Britain unless both sign off, tuition fees divided 60-40 between Harry and Meghan. Yet the signatures were barely dry when she fired a scathing objection, claiming the prince used intimidation, secret palace leverage, and mental stress that made the provisional clauses legally shady and emotionally cruel. This isn't a co-parenting roadmap. It is a suppression tactic. Meghan's top attorney, Cher Tilden, announced outside the Brentwood Law Center, "My client was cornered into an uneven deal engineered by corporate powers disguised as family matters. In the fresh counter motion, her squad demands a complete forensic audit of every custody, money, and image-related clause tied to the February 11th pact." The filing claims Prince Harry's conduct during the talks was volatile and mentally shaky, pointing to a fiery argument taped in mediation on February 9th, where Harry allegedly claimed she was converting their kids into marketing props. Meddling from Princess Anne and the Palace Legal Bureau amounted to off-the-books bullying, involving secret tips leaked to the press, meant to weaken Meghan's standing in court. The monetary division of 60-40 for tuition is random and unjust, considering her reported income crash after her de facto ban from commercial venues. The palace pulled her branding rights on February 6th. This motion aims to void the pact's power and insists on a fresh start with an unbiased, non-royal referee, ideally picked by the United States Department of Child Welfare Arbitration Board. Palace insiders waved off the move as desperate tactics, claiming she is stalling to rebuild her broken legal and PR machine. A top staffer for Princess Anne told The Times the measure was triggered for a single purpose: safeguarding the kids. All agencies involved are operating within international legal provision boundaries. They argue her camp is trying to blur the line between visibility and victim status. On February 10th, Harry's counsel, led by Miles Armitage, filed a 17-page defensive brief expecting moves to derail the February 11th deal. The file contains images of school unenrollment forms signed by the Duchess in December 2025, without the father's go-ahead. It also tracks her travel itinerary for Doha and Dubai through the first half of 2026 with memos mentioning brand exposure for Archie and Lilibet. Included is input from a royal pediatrician who assessed the kids after the move to Wolverton Cottage, flagging signs of clashing parental identity development. Harry's official word today, released via his lawyers, was crystal clear. The contract was inked in good faith to put our children's consistency first. We will counter any threat to that balance with total openness and judicial determination. Meghan aims to shift the story by targeting 5 core metrics: earnings, residence, caretaking record, partner behavior, and psychological fitness. She is also leveraging California-specific codes favoring primary maternal care, claiming Harry's function after 2020 was symbolic rather than hands-on. In a daring and divisive part of the brief, she resurrects old claims regarding Harry's substance struggles, listing 3 times between 2017 and 2019 where he vanished from family gatherings, plus a verbal outburst while under the influence in early 2018. While not fresh gossip, this marks the first time she is wielding these stories legally to block joint custody rights. Her attorneys insist the monarchy holds no weight in American custody courts and requires that Princess Anne, Prince William, and the royal household retract all official or unofficial guardianship bids. This position attacks the Windsor, California Reciprocal Accord of 2024, a deal her own counsel previously blessed to keep titles and commercial perks after the exit. The motion also reignites fiscal wars, specifically regarding the Hartwell estate, a 33-acre rural estate in Gloucestershire that was reportedly reserved in Queen Elizabeth II's private will just for Harry. That $14 million Montecito spread was supposedly bought with pooled Archewell money. Now, a combined nest egg of $7.8 million in savings in stocks is totally locked down by a judge. Meghan is demanding spousal support of $187,000 a month, claiming her career took a massive hit from the royal drama and her ruined reputation. But the biggest bombshell is that Meghan is now fighting Harry's legal right to control the Archewell Foundation's online assets and intellectual property, claiming he siphoned off money meant for their joint work into his personal venture, the Invictus Legacy Education Project. He asked Meta and Spotify to block access to their shared accounts unless a judge says otherwise. He also started private talks to shut down Archewell UK without Meghan signing off. The first court date is set for the 16th of February 2026 at the Santa Barbara Family Law Courthouse with legal observers from the UK, Royal Child Welfare Office, and the US State Department sitting in. The whole world is going to be watching. Less than 24 hours after Meghan Markle dropped her explosive legal countermove challenging the February 11th custody deal, the British royal household hit back. And they didn't just stay quiet this time. They came with sharp legal tactics. In a private legal memo sent out early this morning, the palace confirmed they had brought back their full custodial advisory board and officially named Duchess Sophie of Edinburgh as a co-guardian to help with the transition, assuming the American courts agree to Harry's request for formal royal supervision. The Crown isn't leaving anything to chance. Read the summary. This isn't a struggle for perks. It is a battle for safety. The legal document, signed by Lord Chancellor Sir Alaric Penrose, was sent at the same time to the UK Family Court and, through international channels, to the British Consulate in Los Angeles, kicking off official talks with the California Court and the Royal Household's Child Welfare Committee run by Princess Anne. Meghan's response argued that the monarchy was stepping way outside its ceremonial boundaries. The palace responded by saying she completely misread the Windsor, California Custodial Treaty of 2024, which, even though people rarely talk about it, gives temporary dual sovereign status to royal kids if there is a verified danger to their reputation or emotional well-being. In a move that was both symbolic and strategic, Princess Catherine broke her silence late last night in a carefully scripted video from Grey House, where Archie and Lilibet are supposed to move under this new plan. Standing by a wall of children's art, Catherine said, "Whatever job I am asked to fulfill, I will handle it with the dignity and focus these children deserve. This isn't about money or titles. It is about innocence." The video was uploaded to the royal family's official YouTube and TikTok pages, racking up 11.4 million views in just 8 hours. World opinion, especially in places like Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, instantly shifted toward the monarchy's calm approach, which looked totally different from Meghan's courtroom aggression. On the legal front, the nastiest turn happened at 8:45 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, when Harry's lawyers asked for independent psych evaluations for both of them. The filing points to stress records from 2019 to 2022 and public fights. It mentions Meghan's alleged media-caused breakdowns, including 2 hospital stays in 2021 and 2023 that were sealed, but mentioned in Archewell insurance paperwork. Harry is flipping his own history of being open about mental health to argue for transparency and the ability to change. Cher Tilden, Meghan's lawyer, fired back right away with a formal complaint, calling the request weaponized vulnerability dressed up as concern. While the custody battle heats up, the money side of things just blew wide open. Leaks from the inside. The foundation's internal finance team confirmed that an IRS audit started in late January 2026 is now being shared with the royals and U.S. lawyers. Big findings so far include $1 million in undocumented transfers from the Archewell Foundation to a firm in the UAE. There is also Meghan's Project Emancipation marketing plan, which earmarks photos of the kids for future high-end wellness product launches without the father's permission. Plus, a late 2025 charity report missed over $2.3 million in speaking fees that were listed as brand equity advisory. The UK Charity Commission, working with the Crown Financial Office, put out a statement this morning. If any charity uses the name or picture of royal minors, it will face stricter checks. That is not up for discussion. Multiple sources near Archewell confirmed that the vibe among the staff has totally tanked. 3 top executives, including the head of brand, partnerships, and the deputy legal counsel, quit within 24 hours of Meghan's filing. One source said, nobody wants to get caught in the crosshairs of a worldwide guardianship brawl tangled up with sovereigns and subpoenas. There are also rumors floating around that Spotify and Penguin Random House are taking a second look at Meghan's 2026 solo project, Woman Without a Crown, terrified of the bad press and legal knots. As the custody war across the pond between Prince Harry and Meghan Markle gets uglier, the fight has taken a hard turn into dangerous legal and PR waters, where online personas, contested wills, and mole-leaked memos crash into each other. What started as a scrap over parenting has blown up into a multi-front institutional meltdown, dragging in the British aristocracy, Silicon Valley tech, giants, and U.S. inheritance courts. Right in the middle of this firestorm is the Hartwell estate, a massive 3-acre royal adjacent property in Gloucestershire, valued at $46 million, long whispered to be part of a sealed inheritance deal between Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Harry. Meghan's legal team is now arguing the place was promised to Harry during Queen Elizabeth's private 2021 codicil, hashed out in verbal prenup talks back in 2018, meant as a marital asset to guarantee a future for Archie and Lilibet. On February 14th at 9:31 a.m. Pacific, Meghan's legal squad slapped a petition on the desk of the Los Angeles County Probate Division, demanding immediate action to stop Hartwell from being labeled Crown property and to force the unsealing of every trust doc inked between 2021 and 2023 with Prince Harry's name on it. "My client isn't trying to grab royal territory," stated Cher Tilden. "She's just making sure her kids get what was promised as their birthright." But the palace shut that story down fast. A statement straight from the Lord Chamberlain's office claimed Hartwell is still unassigned Crown land, totally off limits for inheritance claims, pointing to private minutes from a 2022 property meeting run by Princess Anne. While the lawyers geared up for round 2, a curveball came out of nowhere. Lady Louise Windsor, the low-key but rising fixer in training under Princess Anne, was seen touching down at Dulles International Airport, arriving under a diplomatic flag from RAF Northolt. Her mission? To run an in-person welfare check on the kids under a royal directive tucked inside the 2024 Custodial Protection Treaty, flanked by 2 child services agents and a trauma expert from the Royal College of Pediatrics. Lady Louise is there to watch, not to interfere. But her arrival has folks in Meghan's Brentwood circle sweating bullets. Sources say Meghan's camp is blocking access to any unsupervised visits, leaning on that active California court order against foreign custody meddling. Louise, though, has diplomatic immunity. She's not asking for permission, and her final report is going to shape the royal family's next big guardianship announcement on March 1st. At the same time, a war broke out over the @Archewell-linked Instagram handle, which blew up during the Sussex's 2023 docuseries era and now has 3.2 million followers. In a bombshell motion filed at 10:12 a.m. Pacific, Meghan demanded total digital ownership of the account, plus the scrubbing of all photos of her and the kids from any sites run by the royal household. She also wants a gag order stopping Harry from mentioning her or the kids in interviews, books, or charity gigs. Her angle? The account is personal property built during the marriage, tied straight to her creative work, emotional narrative, and personal brand. But Harry's team hit back with fresh leaks of internal metafiles, proving the handle was registered and managed under Windsor Child Digital Archives UK, a system built with Palace Legal in 2022 as an early move to lock down digital safety for royal minors. These papers name Prince William, Princess Anne, and Harry, not Meghan, as institutional co-owners, putting a serious dent in her claim. "This isn't just an Instagram page," said Miles Armitage, Harry's attorney. "It's a strategic digital asset, and you can't leverage it without blowback." As the heat turns up, the Archewell Foundation is starting to crack from the inside. 3 unnamed staffers filed sworn affidavits with the IRS and the California Attorney General's office, claiming Meghan's private PR squad dipped into joint coffers to blow $1.8 million on brand launches that had nothing to do with the charity. Buried audit reports from co-trustees and twisted child-focused content. 4 sponsorship deals, including a pitch to license a kid's cartoon loosely based on Archie and Lilibet without getting the green light from Harry. One ex-employee wrote, "We were told it was her legacy, and she didn't need a sign-off. We were just following the vision." Now it looks like straight-up fraud. A deep-dive forensic audit is happening right now, run jointly by the Scrutiny from the U.K. Charity Commission and the U.S. Office of Tax-Exempt Organizations is heating up. Early guesses put the possible theft at somewhere between $2.7 million and $4.4 million. Back in the States, the political split is blown wide open. The ladies on The View hosted a fiery debate asking why Harry wasn't checked out sooner for possible controlling behavior. Fox News fired back with a savage panel claiming Meghan weaponized being a mom. The monarchy is finally stepping in to protect the kids. The Guardian ran a front-page op-ed called "When Your Brand Matters More Than Your Kids." It labeled the online fighting a scary warning for modern parenting in the age of influencers. At the same time, Buckingham Palace has kept its mouth shut publicly. However, behind the scenes, they are building their defenses. As the custody battle between Prince Harry and Meghan Markle spirals deeper into legal and PR chaos, a fresh and dangerous front has opened up. A war over cash. At the center of this fight are claims that Meghan blew through shared funds to pump up her own brand campaigns, hid offshore bank accounts, and twisted insurance paperwork to keep living large while her public image crashed. On the flip side, Meghan's legal team is now accusing Harry of trying to stash Windsor-connected real estate and money to stop a fair divorce split. The financial papers filed at the California Superior Court this morning were 87 pages long and read more like A fraud investigation into a bankrupt company, then a divorce case of a former royal couple. The most shocking bombshell was Meghan's $2.3 to $3 million in personal buys on joint credit lines between 2022 and 2025, including over $1 million in fashion hauls from Hermès, Dior, and Elie Saab, $670,000 in private jet bookings for solo trips to Abu Dhabi and Nice. $310,000 went to image polishing and media, coaching reportedly linked to her now-flopped product line. Harry's lawyers submitted Amex and HSBC statements matched with Archewell corporate spending logs showing these charges were routed through charity side accounts. In a sworn statement that got out today, an ex-Archewell bookkeeper said bills were backdated and marked as brand rep work or philanthropy, consulting, but really, we were buying designer purses and paying for travel flax. Meghan's camp denied any foul play, insisting every dime spent was for brand building, career moves after leaving, and protecting her public image. Throwing gas on the fire, a redacted file from the U.S. Treasury's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, verified 2 accounts in the Cayman Islands tied to a firm named Archewell-linked set up in the British Virgin Islands under a trustee linked to Archewell. The accounts allegedly took in $890,000 in transfers from Dubai-based event planners from August to December 2025. None of that cash showed up in Archewell's tax filings or Meghan's personal disclosures. Meghan's rep slammed the claims as slander based on old business setups and having nothing to do with custody. But the palace allegedly sent those papers over to the UK's Serious Fraud Office for review under the 2023 Crown Transparency Statute. Behind closed doors, Prince William and Princess Catherine are no longer just figureheads in this crisis. On February 13th, William held a private meeting with the Royal Household Financial Office, ordering that all Windsor-linked assets, co-managed by Harry, including trademarks, royalties, and speaking gigs, be put under independent escrow review. Princess Catherine, meanwhile, was snapped, walking into Highgrove legal offices, carrying sealed files thought to be about royal child welfare rules. Insiders near the legal team say she is getting ready to file a statement of logistical capacity, effectively saying she is ready to step up as an educational and emotional rock for Archie and Lilibet if full custody reassignment goes ahead. A contact inside the palace described the vibe as quietly strategic and emotionally rock-solid. In a move we have never seen before, Princess Anne called a crisis meeting on February 14th with top brass from the International Family Law Commission and experts on the Hague Convention regarding international child abduction laws. Taking place at the Windsor Legal Institute, the main point was to approve cross-border guardianship enforcement plans just in case Meghan tries to move countries without permission or uses diplomatic strings. To block UK supervision. A Canadian rep reportedly told The Telegraph, "This isn't just a divorce anymore. This is about setting new rules for when royalty, branding, and the law crash into each other across the globe." The high-stakes summit wrapped up with a unified proposal dubbed the Sandringham Protocol regarding royal child safeguards. The complete document is slated to drop on February 20th. Then came a curveball. Meghan's attorneys lodged an initial complaint with the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, alleging that the British monarchy is trying to wipe out a woman of color's parental standing using what they call judicial colonialism. While the petition sent to Geneva holds no legal weight, the act itself proves Meghan plans to position this whole battle not as a family court case, but as a worldwide civil rights struggle. Palace reps stayed mum, though sources suggest the firm is crafting a frigid, systematic, and ironclad legal counterstrike. As day 5 of this legal showdown plays out, what looked like a guardianship fight has morphed into a massive war over a content kingdom, a virtual legacy, and how the royal kids' stories are told. The friction hit a fever pitch today when Prince Harry's council slapped down an emergency order to stop Meghan Markle from dismantling the Archewell Foundation's digital vault on her own. We're talking assets valued at upwards of $37 million, involving trademarks, licensing deals, media expansion rights, and unreleased intellectual property, covering raw footage, intimate chats, and major podcast demos featuring Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. Still, Meghan's squad made a brazen play in court this morning, demanding sole custody of Archewell's servers, admin logins, and editorial keys, claiming her artistic contributions made up more than 70% of the brand's storytelling framework. In filings handed over to the California State Digital Asset Tribunal, Meghan insisted on being the only curator for kid-related interviews, scrubbing any rough drafts not tied to sponsor contracts, and keeping all future earnings sparked by image licensing of the family's likeness. The palace fired back in hours via Harry's attorneys, triggering the Royal Minor Identity Protection Order, or RMIPO, lodged alongside the UK Digital Sovereignty Bureau. This blocks any for-profit use of the royal children's images without a green light from their guardians and the Royal Media Ethics Office. A private memo from Princess Anne's desk, spilled by a palisade, bluntly declared that the Crown won't let the kids' faces serve as a golden parachute. Court-appointed forensic accountants turned in an initial ownership review showing Meghan and Harry each controlled 48% of Archewell. The final 4% sat with an outside charity trust, linked to Spotify Cares under a limited liability rule. But now, Meghan's lawyers claim that her emotional authorship gives her the right to dominate all public-facing channels. The specific legal phrase, she used narrative equity, has sent shockwaves through entertainment law, potentially setting a benchmark for personal branding lawsuits in both showbiz and non-profits. Archewell's founding papers from 2020 are currently under lock and key, awaiting a total IP arbitration scheduled for March 11, 2026. Although Meghan's camp relied heavily on support from liberal American news outlets, recent twists are proving unstable. Today's headlines show rising discomfort. New York Magazine ran, "The brand that ate the baby. When legacy becomes leverage." The Washington Post wrote, "Custody meets capitalism in the House of Windsor." A CNN op-ed asked how Meghan overplayed her hand in the court of public emotion. The vibe on social media is shifting too. A viral post from UK, Royal Watch stated she wanted privacy, then trademarked their names. The Crown wanted structure and provided safety. Who is actually looking out for the kids? Backing for the monarchy's moves, particularly with younger British and Canadian crowds, jumped to 68% in a YouGov Snap poll out at 7 a.m. GMT. Through all this chaos, King Charles has stayed off the radar, recuperating at Sandringham after a surprise medical procedure earlier in February. He handed the reins to Prince William and Princess Anne. Still, insiders hint the king might make a comeback, not in court, but on the public stage. A broadcast is loosely penciled in for February 21st, the one-year mark of his 2025 duty transition. Sources claim the speech might address the stability of the institution, safeguarding children, and the lasting power of sovereign neutrality. If it happens, this would be Charles's first real comment on the issue, and maybe his last, before rumors of him stepping down entirely heat up. In one last turn of events, Sources verified today that Archie and Lilibet were moved from Wolverton Cottage to a secret location, thought to be inside the Highgrove security perimeter. This relocation follows Palace. Intelligence teams flagged several drones buzzing the children's new home, along with multiple hacking attempts. Every bit of digital contact with the kids is now routed through the Royal Child Welfare Firewall, a multi-layered, encrypted channel managed directly by Duchess Sophie and Lady Louise Windsor. The palace hasn't said a word. The final chapter of the Windsor-Sussex custody battle played out today behind locked doors, but the shockwaves were felt around the world. At exactly 10:30 in the morning Pacific time, Meghan Markle walked into the Santa Barbara family law courthouse with a squad of 4 lawyers and a PR strategist. She looked defiant. No royal jewels, no Archewell branding, just black slacks, a sharp blazer, and a deliberate silence. Inside courtroom 4B, the judge, handling this massive international custody case, Justice Maya Caldwell, an expert in complex family law, called everyone in for a private hearing. According to leaks that came out hours later, what happened next was the complete dismantling of Meghan's defense, both legally and emotionally. One of the biggest bombshells was a leaked exit strategy called Project Mirror, pulled from a private Archewell server. The file laid out Meghan's emergency plan to move to Qatar, where she would supposedly sign a multi-year media deal with a branch of the Qatari Sovereign Fund. The plan was to get dual citizenship through sponsorship, enroll Archie and Lilibet in an exclusive international school in Lusail, and totally bypass US and UK custody laws. The document, dated January 18, 2026, was apparently never shown to Prince Harry. He only found out after a court-ordered forensic sweep of Archewell's encrypted servers. When the judge showed her the memo, Meghan didn't say a thing. Her lead lawyer, Cher Tilden, tried to brush it off as an unsolicited brand pitch rather than a real plan. But the digital footprint, including timestamps and edits made with Meghan's login, proved otherwise. Back in Windsor, the royal family was already making moves. At 2:45 in the afternoon GMT, Princess Anne led a final emergency meeting of the Sovereign Custodial Oversight Council, officially confirming that Princess Catherine and Duchess Sophie will serve as permanent co-guardians of Archie and Lilibet in the UK. All Windsor-linked properties, digital assets, and schooling plans for the kids now fall under the Grey House Protection Act, signed on February 17th. Meghan Markle is being officially stripped of all royal trustee roles and control over digital assets starting March 1st, 2026. A new entry in the Royal Gazette stated coldly, effective immediately, all decisions regarding custody, education, and representation for Master Archie Harrison and Princess Lilibet Diana are now under sovereign oversight. The Crown won't recognize any outside claims until the kids turn 18. As the hearing wrapped up, Justice Caldwell reportedly looked right at Meghan and delivered one line that instantly blew up social media. You cannot weaponize motherhood and reject responsibility in the same breath. Witnesses say Meghan sat there stone-faced, blinking, fast, her lips pressed tight enough to tremble. Prince Harry, sitting with his legal team, hung his head, closed his eyes, and stayed quiet. No victory lap, no relief, just pure exhaustion. The judge ruled that the February 11th agreement stands as the permanent arrangement. Neither parent can move the kids without the other agreeing. Custody remains shared, but it will be managed by a neutral child welfare officer appointed by US and UK courts. Ownership of the Archie Lilibet social media account has been transferred to the Royal Child Welfare Trust. Meghan was ordered to pay back $1.3 million in misused Archewell funds within 90 days. Any pending deals using the children's images are dead in the water, including a contract with a French luxury skincare brand and an LA podcast studio. The Archewell Foundation is getting dissolved, with its assets frozen until they can be distributed by law. Meghan is banned from starting any business using the names Arch, Windsor, Sussex, or Lilibet for 10 years. Meghan didn't move a muscle while the ruling was read. Her lawyers whispered to her, and she blinked, but didn't cry. No cameras were allowed inside, but when she walked out at 1:23 in the afternoon, she looked absolutely stunned. Outside, no Archewell staff was waiting for her, no press conference, no tinted black SUV, just a regular car driven by an assistant. She left quietly, and for the first time since 2018, she left alone. Just after sunset, Prince Harry posted a handwritten note on the royal family website. "I will never be perfect, but I will be present. I'll be a father before anything else." He signed it, Henry, Charles Albert David. No duke title, no prince status, just a father of two with a failed marriage. The palace has locked the doors. Meghan Markle is strapped for cash, tied up in court, and under the world's microscope. Archewell is finished. Custody is a done deal, and history will mark February 18th, 2026 as the day the crown shielded its kids, not with fury or ego, but with order, rules, and a stone-cold silence. The Windsor machine didn't scream. It simply played the long game.